Okay, let's just jump right in. We are diving into an incredibly dense, absolutely fascinating text from 1954 by Napoleon Hill. We're talking about unlocking what he calls the master key to success. If you've been looking for a no-nonsense, highly structured approach to actually hitting your biggest goals, well, you're in the right place. We're going to unpack decades of research into a streamlined explainer that shows you exactly how to take complete, total control of your mind.
Right off the bat, he hits us with this profound natural law. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. It's a huge statement, right? And it's literally the foundation of Hill's entire philosophy. It proves that lacking formal education or starting out with zero finances simply isn't the impenetrable barrier we think it is. Hill points straight to Thomas Edison as the ultimate proof here. Edison became the world's greatest inventor with just 3 months of common school education. 3 months. And why? Because he learned how to harness this absolute capacity for belief.
And that really brings us to the stakes of what we're looking at today. Andrew Carnegie, the legendary industrialist who actually mentored Hill, believed that we all arrive on this earth holding the equivalent of 2 sealed envelopes. Now, if you take active possession of your mind, you get to open the envelope of riches. We're talking sound health, peace of mind, freedom from fear, material wealth, the whole shebang. But if you just drift and neglect to direct your mind, you're forced by default to open the envelope of penalties. You pay for it with fear, poverty, and endless frustration. The point is, we have to actively take control to claim those riches.
So to make this incredibly dense 13-part philosophy actually actionable for us today, we've broken this explainer down into 4 logical pillars: the great master key, building the inner foundation, action and the mastermind, and finally, the cosmic habit force. Let's start right at the beginning with pillar 1, the great master key, which is all about taking possession of your mind.
Hill doesn't leave us hanging. He gives us a very direct, practical 3-step action plan to define what he calls our definite major purpose. He doesn't just want you vaguely thinking about it, he wants it on paper. First, you have to write down exactly what you desire. Get specific. Second, write down exactly what you intend to give in return, because let's be real, there's no such thing as something for nothing in this world. And third, memorize it and repeat those statements a dozen times a day. That repetition is what actually conditions your brain to focus entirely on the goal.
Which leads us perfectly into pillar 2, building the inner foundation, or mastering the self. So, here's the crucial point. Applied faith is the exact mechanism you need to break the seal on that envelope of riches we were talking about earlier. But faith here isn't just some passive, wishful hope. Hill defines it as an incredibly active mental attitude. You have to actively clear your mind of all your fears and doubts and purposefully direct it toward what you want. Think about it for a second. Most people use faith in reverse gear. They absolutely believe in their poverty. They have total faith in their failure. You have to consciously flip that and direct your capacity for belief entirely toward your major desires.
But to maintain that pure faith, you've got to build a fortress around your mind by practicing accurate thinking. That means ruthlessly separating deductive facts from inductive assumptions. And then you have to go a step further and separate the important facts from the unimportant ones. How do you know if a fact is important? Simple. Does it directly aid your major purpose? If not, it's just a distraction. You have to toss out loose opinions based on bias or guesswork and build a habit of asking people one very simple question when they make claims. How do you know?
I actually love this historical anecdote. Napoleon Hill once asked President Woodrow Wilson what effect World War I would have on civilization. Now, Wilson completely refused to guess. He replied, "I cannot answer your question because I have no facts on which to base an opinion." That perfectly models how accurate thinkers operate, right? They simply refuse to form wild assumptions or spit out opinions when they just don't have the cold, hard facts.
But man, thinking accurately like that requires some severe self-discipline across a few very specific targets. First, you have to master your tongue, literally thinking before you speak. Second, you have to discipline that immediate urge to strike back when someone wrongs you. You also have to control your raw emotions, what he calls the Big Four: love, hate, fear, and sex, and transmute all that raw energy into a worthy purpose. And above all else, you have to strictly maintain a positive mental attitude.
All right, moving on to pillar 3, action and the mastermind. This is where we start moving out into the broader world.
Hill argues that if you're relying solely on your own efforts, you are limiting yourself to a lifetime of incredibly slow progress. To scale, you absolutely must leverage the Mastermind Principle.
This is what happens when two or more people work together in absolute, perfect harmony toward a definite purpose. This alliance is a total game changer because it allows you to literally borrow the education, the experience, the influence, and the capital of other people.
And we can see this concept in action with Henry Ford. We all know Ford as this titan of industry, but early on, the guy was actually extremely shy. He completely lacked self-confidence. His own neighbors actually ridiculed his horseless carriage. But he overcame all of that extreme shyness and started his journey to building a global industrial empire by forming his very first mastermind alliance with his wife. She gave him the faith and the courage he needed to just keep going.
Once you've got your alliance in place, you have to take action through imagination. And Hill splits imagination into two very distinct types. First, there's synthetic imagination. That's taking old, recognized ideas and mixing them up into a new combination. Think of F.W. Woolworth taking the standard retail model and capping prices at 5 and 10 cents to build a massive empire. Then you have creative imagination, which is when you receive basically brand new ideas straight from the subconscious, like Marconi inventing wireless communication. You've got to exercise both of these muscles to spot the real opportunities.
Hill then pairs this imaginative action with the habit of going the extra mile. This is driven by his famous QQMA formula, which dictates your ultimate compensation in life. It stands for the quality of your service, plus the quantity of your service, plus the mental attitude in which you deliver it. Look, if you only do exactly what you are paid for, you have zero leverage to ever ask for more. You have to consistently over-deliver, and you have to do it with a genuinely positive attitude.
Now, actually taking that action requires what Hill calls personal initiative. It's the dynamo that literally kickstarts your imagination. A person with true initiative acts without having to be told. They make prompt decisions, and if they have to change them, they change them very slowly. They do more than they're paid for in a positive spirit. They accept full responsibility, absolutely no passing the buck when things get tough, and crucially, they listen a whole lot and only talk when it actually benefits the situation.
Which brings us to our fourth and final pillar, the cosmic habit force, exploring the universal laws. Think of the cosmic habit force as the ultimate watchdog of your life. It's a natural law that gives definiteness of action to literally everything in the universe. It's the mechanism that takes your recurring thoughts, your desires, and your actions and makes them permanently fixed. Just as it forces an acorn to always grow into an oak tree and never ever a pine tree, it takes your recurring mental habits and locks them right into a permanent physical reality.
So the absolutely crucial point here is its dual nature. If you positively fix your mind on your desired goals, cosmic habit force works for you. It automatically attracts them. But if you drift aimlessly or you constantly dwell on fear and poverty, it applies what Hill calls hypnotic rhythm. This is the negative application, and it will literally force those penalties upon you, trapping you in a permanent cycle of failure. This law is working 24/7, whether you are consciously directing it or not. To make sure this universal force is working for us and not against us, we have to fundamentally, completely reframe how we view failure. Hill insists that every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent benefit. Think about that. It means you have to train your mind to stop brooding over a defeat. You have to immediately start digging through the wreckage of that failure to find the lesson, the new pathway, or the hidden advantage.
Take the honestly incredible story of Milo C. Jones. This guy was a farmer making a pretty meager living until a tragic double paralysis struck him. It left him completely immobilized. Literally only his brain was still functioning. But instead of just giving up, he finally took true possession of his mind. He found that seed of equivalent benefit by inventing the little pig sausage business right from his bed, ultimately yielding a massive agricultural fortune.
We see something very similar with Franklin D. Roosevelt. Stricken with polio right in his prime, he completely lost the use of his legs. He could have so easily just withdrawn from public life entirely, but instead FDR transmuted that severe physical adversity into this profound sense of self-reliance and deep empathy, which he then used to lead the entire country, rising to become the President of the United States.
Finding that equivalent benefit, though, requires a rigidly maintained positive mental attitude, and Hill insists we have to deliberately practice this every single day. It's like a daily operational checklist. You have to adjust to other people peacefully. You actually need to start each day by expressing gratitude for your past defeats. You must actively search for that seed of equivalent benefit in everything. And you have to keep your mind so strictly engaged on your major purpose that you literally just don't have time to waste on the things you fear. As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a challenge. Look back at your own history.
What is the seed of equivalent benefit hidden inside your biggest failure? Take possession of your mind today. Uncover that hidden transformative value and use it to unlock your very own master key. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.